Alright, we are hopefully live. How's it going, guys? I'm Josh, and today we are live reviewing your photos. And this is our 6th live stream photo review ever, which is insane. Yeah, so we've done 6 of these. That's incredible. And yeah, so let's talk photos. Now, while people are still coming in, if you're watching this recorded already, we're going to let the audience build for a second. So what I'm going to start off with, before we get into how to submit on all the rules and actually just start reviewing your photos, I'm going to do something that has never been done in live review history on my channel. So basically the standards are very low because I've only done 6 of these. However, I am going to review my own photos. So that being said, let's head over to my Instagram and talk some smack. So, who is this poser? Who does he think he is? Declaring himself a photographer. That is so pretentious. Ugh. Anyway, so I should say before I get into this that, like, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with my camera, so I can normally get the photos that I want to get. However, so basically, like, you might say, oh, there are all these things that I don't like about this photo. I'm usually getting the photos that I want to get and I'm proud of, but I'll still say some things that I did wrong. So this is a photo I took back in Paris, 2016, with a 10-stop neutral density filter. And I'm really proud of this photo. I like that the corner line hits here. I really like the lines of the cars, the sunset, and of course French architecture is a punch in the face. And it's pink, and this is honestly the actual color of it. What I don't like is there's some really bad shadowing in the corners, and I did a couple things wrong. So edit-wise, I think I put too much vignetting on, which is just, you gotta be careful with that. Especially when you have information like this guardrail going into the corner. Sometimes it's nice to use no vignetting at all, even though it gives it a nice artistic feel at times. Another thing is I shot this at f3.5, which is a really shallow aperture, and that just means that you've got some areas that aren't quite as sharp as others. And I've seen prints of the shot and it looks fine, but I definitely focused right around here, I believe, midway, so this being sharp and all this. But I would have liked to have closer to maybe f7.1 or f8 and gotten the whole thing a little bit sharp, because it's a little bit blurry down here and out of focus. So yeah, definitely would have just done a longer exposure. And I tried my best to get rid of these trees. I don't like them at all. I think the shot would have been way stronger without them, but I just couldn't really figure out a composition for that. So that's my reviewing one of my photos. That's probably enough for one day. So welcome guys. Let's actually jump into this now. So some things to go over first. How to submit your photos. If you don't know already, all you have to do is type your Instagram name in the live chat, and I will I'm gonna pull some random ones and start to talk about it. That's pretty much it. The only thing I want to say here is first, super chat. If you make a donation and include your Instagram name in that donation, I will prioritize you because you're supporting me, and I would like to return that favor. But you don't have to donate to get reviewed, and I'm just going to pull a bunch of random ones. Couple other things. Reviews are very subjective, so I am going to be talking about people's photos and hopefully saying things that you disagree with, because that means I'm giving you real opinions in which in which people are feeling judged, and that's honestly how you're going to get better photos. Because if I was just saying things that were generic and agreeable, I don't think there'd be much value to this. So there it is, me justifying my shit talk. Alright, and on that note, let's get into it. I've got a few Instagrams pulled up from those who were here before we even started. As a thank you, I'm going to hit those guys first. So first off, we have got Weston Miller. I do things with cameras. So the reason I picked this guy is he posted his first Cinemagraph here, and I'm not sure how the frame rate is gonna look, but we'll try anyway. If you can see, hopefully there's what looks to be coffee or tea, coffee pouring into the mug. And what's cool about this is it's an infinite loop. And you may have seen some of these on my Instagram before, in which they just, the video loops forever. And yeah, it's called a Cinemagraph. And I'm actually going to make a tutorial on this in the next week or two, which I'm super excited about because it's actually fairly easy to do. but there's definitely some technique to it. The only thing I would say, my advice for him, and I'll go over this in my tutorial, so this is a little sneak peek. What I'm going to talk about is normally to do these, what you're doing is taking a video and then just overlaying a still image over it, or a screenshot from the video. What I think I prefer to do is actually take a photo to overlay, because video screen grabs are never as high quality as just an actual photo, unless you're shooting with a Red Epic camera that's 10,000 frames per second. And I'm assuming you're not. So with that, there's a little piece of Cinemagraph advice, and on to the next one. Let's see what people are saying in the live chat. Whew. I love doing these. This is like the most intense thing, to be keeping up with the live chat, going to someone's Instagram, immediately having no time to look at it before, and just jumping right into it, and hopefully having things to say. So yeah, this is fun. Next one, we have got. Alright, we got some cool street photography from my man's Arn Grimmer. I'm not gonna bother. I butchered enough names for now. So I went to this Instagram a minute ago, and interesting street photos. The first one that really caught my eye was this, and the reason why is there is some really nice coloring in this. The matching of her really neat shirt dress and this window are spot on, and I really like this orange backdrop. And the lady is just, this is a fascinating lady. So if you've seen my street photography tutorial, one thing I always mention is that you want to look for interesting people. Your average dad in a North Face is not going to look that great necessarily in a street photo, but when you have someone so elegantly dressed, they really stand out, and makes the photo look a little bit more spectacular. And I think that Arn Grimmer in Budapest nailed it on this one. Now it's interesting. If I were taking this photo, and I have my own style, he's doing his thing, and this is a sick photo. I think what I would have done is tried to be. Here, let me switch back to my face to explain this. With shapes like this window, they make for really nice, perfect squares when you're aligned with them. So I think I would have tried to be parallel with the window, so just shooting straight on to the wall, and then frame the lady up so the window is here, and then the lady is isolated on the right side of the window, with no overlap with her arm and the window. But that's just me. Who knows what the situation of this photo was. Maybe this is the only place he could stand. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But that's just a very tangential opinion. This is a sick photo, so well done. And let's see what's happening in the live chat. And let's pull up a random one. Whose are we going to do? Oh, and one more thing I should add, guys, is if you're a beginner photographer, do not be intimidated to submit your shots. So I will critique anyone, and the point here is not to tear you apart. So if I think your photos are bad, I'm not just going to be mean to you. I'm going to be like, well, what is some like valuable advice I can give to someone of this skill level? So yeah, don't be afraid to submit, unless you can't take criticism. And if you can't take criticism, maybe this isn't the proper live stream for you, because this is sort of a live stream dedicated to criticism. All right, and let's pull up some random ones. Oh, and I'll say one more thing, guys. If you want to have a better chance of being selected, don't just drop your Instagram name in there. Sell me on it. Put a little, like, you know, I shoot photos of toilets, only toilets. That's my specialty. That would totally sell me. If anyone's a toilet photographer in the live chat, let me know immediately, so I can drop everything and get to work reviewing your photos. That being said, let's find someone else's photos. All right, this is some cool stuff. My man, Chris Hytha, Drexel student, lives in Philadelphia, and that's pretty cool. So I love that every city has like its baller urban photographers. This guy is clearly just ridiculously talented. Wow, interesting edit. Yeah, this guy, whoa. It's cool. I've never seen a Philadelphia street photographer, so that's pretty neat. And this is just looks like it's photoshopped, and I mean that in the best of ways. Yeah, wow, that is really cool. Yeah, let's take a. Gosh, these shots are so incredible. And I think one thing that makes these shots particularly great is that they all have a very pinkish tint. So when you're scrolling through his feed, it has a very like real feel to it. And that's definitely one of those Instagram trends that is like an easy way to make your feed look a little bit cooler. Yeah, this is really neat. I like that he focused on the foreground and just had this a little bit washed out. Man, perfect symmetry, and just interesting. Like, I think one thing that makes photos particularly good, and then I'm always looking for, is contrast in light. So I think a lot of amateur photographers usually shoot in scenes where it's all super sunny or it's all really dark. But if you find scenes where you have shadows and lines in which there's sunlight and then not sunlight, that can make for a really interesting just contrast, as seen here. Let me see if I can find another example of that on his Instagram. This is insane. This is absolutely ridiculous. Wow. And yeah, I mean, these photos are clearly very edited. He has like a whitish vignetting and all these crazy tones. There's no way it was actually this pink or this blue, but he's really just playing with that HSL tab. And honestly, more power to him. This looks sick. Chris, your work is awesome. And on to the next one. Yeah. What's good? Anyone who's new to the live stream, we are talking some serious smack today. Feel free to make a super chat if you want to guarantee you get reviewed. Otherwise, I'm just going to be pulling out random ones from the live chat. So feel free to submit your bangers. And let's pull up a few more Instagrams now. And I think I'm going to go until 6:30 p.m. today. So we got another 50 minutes of heavy, harsh, intense, mean criticism. Or maybe just good, high-quality, constructive criticism. Who knows? Who knows? Depends how mean I'm feeling. All right, so our next man is... That was a really sad drum roll. Our next guy is Shooting Negative. Bryce, he's been chilling in the live chat for a while, so I had to show him some love. And, all right, immediately... Oh, is this New York? I definitely lived across from this building last year. Oh, nope, it's Rome. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's a very similar building, Old Police Plaza, that looks just like this in New York City. Anyway, this shot immediately caught my eye. So, one thing I talked about in my street photography, or in my recent landscape photography tutorial, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's the newest video on my channel, dropped yesterday, and I'm really proud of it, so definitely go check that out if you want to shoot some sick landscapes. I talk about composition and composing neat shots, and how a lot of times you can try and stack up as many compositional elements as you can possibly get. Balance, framing, reflection, symmetry, all that great stuff, leading lines, whatever, to make for a compelling image. Other times it's more about just doing it well, once, just doing one good thing. So for example, in this photo, he really nails this reflection. So this is like, I mean, you could have just shot, whatever diner or thing that this might have been, but instead he, caught it in a reflection. It's just a really kind of mysterious thing too. Like, you don't know exactly what this is, but it's bright and beautiful, and yeah, you got this nice just rainbow thing going on. So it's a fairly simple photo, but he hit that compositional element super well, and that is what I consider a very successful shot. And I guess film isn't dead, because now it's on my live stream. Anyway, that was very facetious. Bryce Ligman, thank you so much for submitting, and your work is sick. Who else are we going to review today? Are you guys going to sell me? I'm hoping you guys are going to make some compelling arguments as to why I should look at your shots. Chat is going fast. Skateboarding and landscape pictures. Ugh, Evan Ferguson, you know what I'm into. Alright. Let's see. Next guy, we have got my man's Aaron freaking Peterson. Welcome to the live stream, man. Alright, some sick steel wool stuff. I would I'd mess with the highlights here, and maybe even create a new layer, like an adjustment brush in Lightroom, just around this circle, so you can make him a little bit less warm, because he also kind of looks like he's on fire. I think the image should be warm, and he should be warm, but he's pretty much just like straight yellow right now, so that's a little bit too much. Just a little editing tip. Alright, another thing I wanted to say. So you have this rainbow here, and a very important tip I have for getting good rainbows, and this is like the most crucial camera equipment you could possibly use, is a circular or any kind of polarizer filter. So what a polarizer filter does is it refracts light in a way in which you can make the sky much bluer. So if it's like kind of washed out looking blue, you can actually darken it and have it look awesome. And same for rainbows. What would be a subtle rainbow, you know, it might look great to you, your human eye, but in the camera they always tend to look kind of subtle. With the circular polarizer filter, you're going to get it to look really awesome. And I can show you really quick an example of that that I've done before. Really, yeah, it's kind of a necessity for rainbow shooting. Circular polarizer filters. And I think if you look in the description of any of my videos, you will see a link to mine, or you can go to joshkatz.me/my-camera-setup. Just go to joshkatz.me, look at my camera setup stuff, because I have a quick little review on my polarizer filter and explains yeah, why it's good, what I like to do with it. But let me pull up this rainbow shot that I saw this summer in Brooklyn. We had a crazy double rainbow, and it was lovely, and it was a nice way to move into the neighborhood. Here we go. So we've got a few. We got this guy, and we've got this guy. And I'm telling you that this is not editing. I mean, there's a little bit of playing with the HSL tab to bring out the colors of the rainbow just a tiny bit, but if you want to capture that rainbow as bright as it is here, it's really crucial to use a polarizer filter. So there's my little piece of camera advice. And I know it's hard if you don't want to drop that much money on equipment, but you can usually find some cheap polarizers, probably one for 20 or 30 bucks if you're on a budget. I think I spent about 70 or 80 on mine, so still not crazy. And when I say not crazy, I don't mean not crazy expensive. I mean not crazy expensive for a for camera equipment, because photography, let's face it, is a rich man's sport, and you gotta be a bit of a baller sometimes to get the good stuff. And hey, Charlie's Archive. Charlie, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that in the super chat. And as a thank you, I'm gonna hit you right now and see what your work is all about. It's funny, so I'm loading up this page. I have no idea what I'm in for, and I'm gonna have to talk about it. And one day I'm gonna get screwed just pulling up a random Instagram page. Someone's gonna troll me. I hope that I'm not. I definitely did just give you the idea. Oh well. Anyway, let's talk about Charlie. Alright, so Charlie is a photographer with a Samsung 7S and a Canon 7D. Alright, so first of all, I think he likes cars. And my immediate thought is like, these shots right here that look like they're taken in a lot, probably are taken in a lot, are not quite as good as these nice isolated shots where the car is either on the street or anywhere else to be sort of like just have a neat backdrop and not be not look like you just wandered and snuck onto someone's lot at night. And I think a big part of that, this is really neat. I think a big part of this is like just trying to isolate the car. Makes it look like you had like a special photo shoot with the car as opposed to having it with a bunch of other ones. And lighting wise, I think this is the coolest shot, or maybe this is just in general the coolest shot I've seen from you, because this is really simple, doesn't have too much going on, and nice light of day obviously. And yeah, I would play, this is a little challenge to you, Charlie. You have a very similar angle and closeness to all these cars. Like it's sort of like a full body shot of cars. I guess cars also have bodies. What I would consider doing, try getting really close. Just photograph one element of the car, whether it be, you know, a wheel, or I don't know. You could also play to get really close up to the hood of the car, like right around here. Play with the reflection and see what you can do with it, because nothing is shinier than cars. And yeah, just sort of get like a little bit more abstract. I think that'd be a great way to progress with what you're doing. But anyway, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. And on to the next homie. Let's pull a random guy from the chat. Alright, we have got an architecture photographer right freaking here. His name is Patrick, aka Twinkle Daddies. Twinkle Daddies. Alright, so interesting stuff here. Now, I'd say immediately, my important preface is that architecture photography is not my thing. Like, I'm not phenomenal at it. I don't do it that much. This is stellar symmetry. This is really a sick shot. Yeah, really nice framing here. Man, I don't know too much about architecture photography, so I'm not going to try and, you know, say too much about it. The only thing I will say to those who are just starting off, wow, this is really sick. Frame reflection in the trees, super disorienting in the best of ways. So my advice to those who are starting off and want to get into architecture photography, keystoning is a very important thing you have to be mindful of. So what that means is sometimes you take a photo of a tall building and it looks like it's leaning back, like it's sitting way back in a chair with its arms stretched behind its head, or the very opposite, where it looks like it's leaning over you a little bit. And the trick is to have it be really, really flat like this. It just looks a little more balanced and natural. So the trick you can do, some people use tilt shift lenses. If you don't have $2,000 to blow on a lens, as most of us, including me, don't, what I would recommend is in Lightroom, you can play with the vertical perspective, and you can actually tilt it back, and that will really solve all your problems. Just giving it that nice backwards tilt so it looks like it's perfectly flush and you're parallel to it, or perpendicular to it shooting, as opposed to, you know, shooting at this sort of angle. Yeah, and that's my little architecture lesson in a nutshell. Alright, let's see. Who should we review next? Alright guys, one sec. I'm just going to pull up a few from the live chat. Wow, I'm getting called out for only taking boys. What is this? I'm just taking whoever submits. I guess this is my demographic. Alright, Julie, I see how it is. Let's see what you've got. Alright, we've got a few photos lined up. Let's jump in with, and hey, who was this? Someone just made a super chat, I think. Felix De Silva, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to find your Instagram. Just post it up in the live chat so I can find it. Alright, yeah, next guy we've got a portrait photographer. My man's Juan Se Charia Photography. Okay. So there is definitely an art to posing, and immediately you see this guy's doing, you know, some slightly more complex poses, I'd say, which is really cool. That's definitely kind of my weakness. I went on one of my first real portraiture shoots recently. I normally just like stumble into portraiture shots. I never like bring people out or models, but I got hired by this startup to shoot photos of their employees. So I dragged a bunch of people around Soho today, which is really fun. So something kind of interesting here. I actually like how it looked before it when it was actually cropped as a square. So seeing it right here, seeing this like this little hint of water, I thought it was really sick. But you know, not too much. This is a neat photo. I like that he's sitting above the clouds. You got super low clearly, or he's just super high, or a bit of both. And of course the lighting is just really, really nice. Yeah, this is cool. A little bit of six-pack action. I hope Julie, the one girl in this live chat, is into that. I hope I didn't just victimize this one girl. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Okay, so yeah, that is six-pack photography with Watermarks. Thank you for submitting your stuff, man. That was different. I like seeing some different stuff. Yeah. Okay, and who do we have next? Ooh, someone is from Belgium here. That is sick. I'm probably going to pick your photos next. Let me just pull up the super chat guy. Felix, what is good? Thank you for submitting again. Let's find your Instagram. Alright, quick break. I am curious, guys. In the live chat, what kind of camera do you use? Just post it up. I'm really curious to know. Yeah, what camera do you use and where are you from? Just some little bit of market research here. Wondering how global we are right now. Okay. 77D, a lot of Canons. Alright, let's see. Interesting. Alright, looking like a 50-50 split Nikon Canon. A little bit of Pentax action. That's interesting. I've actually never shot with a Pentax before. And meanwhile, pulling up Mad Instagrams to review. Oh, we got an Australian here that is really, really sick. Netherlands. Ooh. Denmark. You guys, oh man, you're from way cooler locations than me. That's awesome. I can't wait to see all these shots. Alright, so let's take on Felix da Silva. What's up, man? Thank you so much for submitting. Let's scope this stuff out. So, got some nice bokeh action. Can't go wrong with bokeh. Little tip here. Both of these shots, the lighting is a little bit, I'd be careful when you're posing your model, just to see where the light's hitting them. So you have this like kind of awkward line right here. And it looks just so much better when a face is evenly lit up. Now he's shooting at golden hour, so there is all this cool potential, but I think you just sort of had your model facing the wrong direction. And a little tip for making sure you never make this mistake again. If you're not sure which way to shoot with your model, or where to have your model stand in what direction, what you can do is take your hand out. This only works when you're outside, and spin a 360. Like walk around in a little circle and see when the light hits your hand best. And when the light hits your hand best, that is where the face of your model should be, and you should be shooting in this direction. Yeah, and that'll guarantee much better shots. Yeah, but I think the architecture stuff is way stronger actually. So this is cool. I will say I like when people make an effort, and what I mean by that is some people, just including myself actually, just sort of take on what they see every day. Yeah, it's street photography, whatever, or nature, landscapes, whatever. But some people like make an effort to actually bring props and set things up in a way that isn't that common, and I think that's really cool. So props to you, Felix. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, let's see what's happening in this live chat. Oh, all right. Got a little super chat operation. Oh, Thanks again, Felix. That's nice of you, man. Okay, get people from Pizza Land. I would like to be from that location. Not a great joke, but a really great idea. Alright, we got a Netherlands photographer. Let's scope this out. Hey, for those of you who are new to this live stream, welcome. Couple little things. I'm gonna say some very subjective opinions here. So hopefully I offend you, because that means I'm giving real opinions. Just trying to make everyone better at photography. That is really the one main goal. If you want to submit, all you have to do is post up your Instagram in the live chat. And for those of you who are watching this recorded late, you either need to wake up earlier, stay up later, free your schedule, and I'm so sorry for repeating all this stuff over and over again. Alright, our next photographer is a Netherlands photographer. That's what you get for giving me some details about your work. Alright, first shot that catches my eye, undoubtedly this shot. So this is really cool. On one hand, there's the framing, which is nice. You know, he's got the boat in here, and you know, there's some nice timing there and all. But what I really like about this shot is the shapes. So not only is this well framed, but notice how these are, I mean, they're quadrilaterals. Or actually, I guess they've got 5 sides, but they're sort of in this triangular shape vaguely, and this is like the opposite triangle. So it's like this double layer of framing and balance, and simplicity too. There's not too much going on in the shot, but what he did really, really well. It looks like the guy spends a lot of time by the water, which is a good life, I'd say. Yeah, really good stuff, man. Yeah, Rickston, thank you so much for submitting. I feel like, guys, is this my most positive photo review yet? I feel like I've been mostly handing out accolades and being stoked. Man, I gotta talk some more shit now. Guys, send me some bad shots just so I can be really, really mean. No, hopefully I can talk some constructive shit. That's the real goal here. Joshua Craig, you said you submitted your photos. You've been watching since the first live stream, and I haven't reviewed you yet. I'm having trouble pulling up your Instagram, so double check to make sure you spelled everything right. Yeah, that's all. Anyway, let's see who else is in the live chat. Okay, Hawaii. Oh man. Oh, South Africa. That person wins. Let's just talk about her photos right now, because that sounds really cool. Alright. 1 second, guys, as I pull up a bunch of shots. Oh wow, I think there are 2 South Africans in this live stream right now. That is absolutely insane. Welcome. Shout out to South Africa. That's super, super cool. Okay. Who do we have next? Alright. Oh wow, we got some really cool stuff here. I have a question for you guys. The next question I want to see answered in this live chat is, do you guys use a personal account too? Or is it all photos and everything on one account? Like, I'm seeing a lot of photo accounts, you know, people who have photo or captures in their name. And yeah, I'm just curious the split up between people who are independent versus all together. Anyway, Phil Veers, thank you so much for the super chat. Toss up your Instagram in the live chat, because you didn't include it, and I would love to review your photos. And Josh Craig, thanks for sending me that other one. Let's see what you got. Josh Craig 15. Alright, in the meantime, let's talk about this ridiculous photographer, Ibrahim Khan. Wow. So immediately I noticed some Brandon Wolfel vibes. If you guys don't follow Brandon Wolfel, he loves to work with a lot of bokeh and string lights, which doesn't sound that cool, but when you see his work, you realize it's absolutely stunning. And this is neat. This is, a little hand model operation. Oh wow, new YouTube video, tutorial on how I edit like Brandon Wolfel. So there it is, guys. Calling him out. We knew exactly what he's doing. Yeah, let's talk about this style of editing. So a couple things that he probably does to get this sort of thing is the HSL tab. Hue, luminance, saturation in Lightroom is really crucial for distorting these colors, because he's probably messing with the hues to make all the reds and oranges way pink, as well as all the blues running vaguely blue, kind of turquoise, which is neat, and then just makes the photo really cold. Probably ups the the highlights with bokeh. When you raise the highlights, it gives it a more stark effect. Yeah, really cool stuff. Yeah, wow, this is beautiful. Man, why are you guys so good? You're making this way hard on me to be negative. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of how much of a fan I am. Okay, let's see. Ooh, we got someone from Ireland. What is good, Anthony Kent? I want to see some Irish shots. That sounds sick. And let's catch up on the live chats. I will say one thing that kind of messes with me when I'm doing these guys is I look at the number of people watching, and the fluctuation is kind of gnarly. Anytime I take a break to like go back to the live chat and just stop reviewing photos for like 1 second, there's a drop off, which really throws me off. I gotta stop looking. It doesn't really throw me off, but definitely I notice it and be like, alright, should I just always be talking about photos, or can I mess around a bit? I want to mess around a bit. I want to I think my ideal ratio of talking to my ratio in this live stream ideally would be 30% eating snacks, maybe 40, realistically probably 50% eating snacks, 25% just talking shit, and probably 25% constructive criticism. That'd be my ideal ratio. But right now we're probably more like 80% productivity with reviews, which is sick. Probably best for you guys. Maybe not the most fun for me, but this is fun. I'm messing around. I got a couple super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much to Daniel McCarthy and Ern Fleming. Okay, let's pull you guys up and see what's good. We're going to go for about 20 more minutes of this, because I found anything longer than this and my voice just begins to cripple. And I've got a date tonight, so I've got to be on it. Yeah, so get your last couple submissions in, guys, and let's see what we've got in store for us. One second, guys. Internet is being kind of flaky with pulling up all of these Instagrams, but we will get there. Slash fill. All right. Let's talk about Ern Fleming's photos. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So, I've never seen this before. I'm not really, alright, I've said this before a couple times. You gotta really be careful with the watermarks. This is just kind of distracting. and there's really no reason to put watermarks. You know, it's like who's gonna steal your work? Even me, I don't really worry about it too much because it's super low resolution on Instagram. So the worst case scenario is someone reposts it, and realistically they're gonna tag you, and that'd be great, right? So definitely, you know, mind that. Interesting. I'm a huge fan of ice cream sandwiches. Not really photo related, but I will say that's key. A lot of texture stuff. Aaron, if I can make one recommendation to you, I would say that your close-up work seems to be your best stuff. So I would consider investing in a macro lens. You could really get experimental with that, and I think that certain people have an eye that is just like meant for macro versus very big stuff. So, you know, I always get caught up looking at the big picture for like landscapes, whereas I have friends who really just like looking very closely at flowers. And so yeah, it depends on the person, but like clearly you have an eye for the close-up stuff, and you might thrive in the macro game. So I would definitely consider that. And yeah, thanks for the submission. And yes, all right, our next guy is Phil.what.the.heck. What's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Let's see what we are working with here. So this is like, you know, the classic personal Instagram mix between trampolining and photography, which I think is cool. There's a certain amount of not taking yourself too seriously in doing this sort of thing that I respect. I try not to take myself too seriously as well. That's always the goal, at least. Alright, so one thing I talk about in my landscape tutorial, if you watch it, is timing of day. Sometimes you only have the opportunity to shoot something when you're actually there, and you gotta just go with it. But this is one of those spots where sunrise and sunset looks super, super, super sick. I've seen so many incredible photos because it gets really foggy, sometimes even covering up the bridge. So yeah, definitely an opportune time to be there, just to keep in mind. The other thing I'll say here is I don't like this fence right here. I find it kind of distracting. Now, one thing to consider with any sort of landscape is when you have any sort of subject, think about whether it should be in your photo or not. And especially you got to examine the edges. So like this guy kind of looks like it was like haphazardly thrown in there, or not forgotten to take out of, essentially. Like he could have gone further up the hill and gotten it out of the shot. So either fully commit to it and really show a lot of fence, maybe even shoot the bridge through the fence, which is a popular way to shoot the bridge, or get the fence out of there. Just really, it's all about making deliberate decisions and making your photos seem intentional, because sometimes it does seem like there are happy accidents that happen, not just for you, but for a lot of people. And let's see. Daniel McCarthy, I'm having some trouble pulling up your Instagram, so just shoot me an email, and with your Instagram, you can get my email from my website, joshkatz.me, and I'll give you a more in-depth critique after this thing ends. And yeah, let's pull up a couple other random ones from the live chat. What's good, guys? Nostalgic Rose, that is a very cool title. Let's see if the photos back it up. Ah, the private Instagram account. Very amateur mistake, Priscilla. Yeah, make sure your Instagrams are public if you want me to talk about them. If you want to just, you know, mess with me, definitely make them private. I highly encourage it. Alright. Alright, who are we going to talk about next? Man, there's a lot of talk about gender in the chat, and to that I will say I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just pulling up random ones. Yeah. Let's not make this a gender thing. Let's make it a people thing. All right, who do we have here? All right, I found one. We've got my man's photo seeking, aka real moniker James Baddeley from England. All right. Ooh. All right. Yes. Wildlife photography. That is such a rare thing to see in this live photo review. So I'm stoked to get a little bit of this. An interesting crop ratio with the 16:9. Yeah, these are neat. All right, let's talk about this one. So I think he kind of did a pretty classic composition here with the rule of thirds, and you notice the right horizontal third is where the bird is in line. And I'm curious, what's in the background. One really cool thing about using a telephoto lens, as he is it's super easy to blur out the background, which puts way more emphasis on your subject. So yeah, that's very well done, and yeah, I wonder if, I'm guessing he used his 600mm for that, because that just looks insane. Anyway, thank you, James Baddeley, for submitting those banger shots, and keep pursuing those birds. I've always wanted to get into bird watching. I feel like that'd be kind of a fun thing. Maybe when I retire one day and just have way too much free time. Maybe. Alright, and let's get a few more of these in. We got 14 more minutes to cruise. Alright, who do we have here? Alright. Alright, I found our man, or our woman, again, not gender discriminating. Alright, my man, or woman, not gender discriminating, Daniel McCarthy, Stockholm based. Alright. Ooh, look at those lines. Should bring up those shadows, man. Should bring out your subject real nice in Lightroom. Yeah, it's kind of just a little bit dark of a photo overall. Alright, this shot is so cool. This definitely strikes me as, wow, just an incredible building. I like that he added the man here for reflection. Me personally, I would have either had this bike fully in or fully out. I don't like that it's being a little bit cropped here, but regardless, it's pretty sick. One thing that's cool with shooting buildings is the work is like sort of done for you. I mean, this building just looks like it's super sick, but then it's on you to make it look even sicker. And I think that you capture that a little bit. Yeah, I think I would have gone no bike maybe. Yeah, so another little tip for this sort of thing. So the way I shoot street photos, and I'm imagining he did too here, is he set up his shot. He really knew I want to be shooting a photo right here, and then he waited. He waited for the right guy to roll through and look awesome. So he got the man with the suit, which was super cool. Now, what I would say here is like, yeah, sometimes it's all about wandering around and just shooting everything you see. Sometimes the trick is, and I love to do this, is just post up at a spot. So you find, this is my location, I just gotta wait for the right person. And don't be afraid to just get comfortable, sit down, maybe even pop your camera on a tripod if you want to be particularly mellow, and just wait and watch. Spend 30 minutes, spend an hour, and you'll find some cool stuff. And one thing that's especially awesome about this is the fact that when you're doing street photography and you have a big old camera, it's kind of intimidating to some people. You walk in there, you barge in there wielding this big old device, and it's like, all right, let's shy up and try to avoid whatever, this guy with a camera. I don't want to be on film. So when you actually are already there before everyone arrives, and you're just sort of waiting there, now they're impeding on you. You're not impeding on them. It's So they don't even notice you really. You kind of blend in with the environment, which is definitely the merit of chilling and spending time being patient. Yeah. Okay. Who do we have next? Let's try and get 2 or 3 more people. Yeah. Okay, someone's promising me strictly toilet photography. I know I'm being lied to, but I'll still check it out. I appreciate the dupe. Alright, we have got my man, David Leto Photography, aka Toilet Lover. Toilet Lover, yes. Alright. I woke up at 6 a.m. today for this photo shoot, and this is what it's done to me. If you notice a lack of energy, I feel like I was like bursting out of my chair in the last one, and now I'm like totally just chilling. See, this is why it's so nice to shoot golden hour. You got the sickest shadows, which like guarantees really nice composition. Because think about if he shot this at any other time, and all he has is like a kind of standard shop window, but because of the positioning of the light and him, you have, first of all, this line which hits the corner, which is really nice on both ends. So that's a really good balance, and it's just way more dramatic. So, I don't want to teach you guys to be light snobs, which is people that only shoot like golden hour, sunrise, sunset, which is totally like very snobby. You can get awesome photos during the day. However, some things really do need to be taken at specific times. So just be aware of that. Be a light snob on occasions and know when to be a modest photographer of all times of day. Okay, let's do 1 or 2 more random bad boys from the chat. This guy's name is Josh. Hopefully I like his work. I'm a little bit biased here. I like most Josh's work. I should warn you guys. Alright. Josh, my man. Great. Decent name. Pretty good name. Okay. Pretty new Instagram. Shot that strikes me as a little bit special is this one. We got some Inukshuk, or what's the other word that people call it? I forget. I call it Inukshuk. And he used what looks to be either a flashlight, maybe even an iPhone light, to circle around it, which is kind of cool. One thing that I would do, this is like really nitpicky. You know what? I'm not even gonna. Alright, here's what I was gonna say. You should have turned off the light here so you don't have this line going up. But I actually kind of like the balance of the line. But what I think is pretty cool is turning on and off the light multiple times so it actually changes locations in the shot. But regardless, this is sick. I really like that he did a long exposure at sunset. So it's a great way to make the lake way more smooth. If you take one photo, it's going to be kind of choppy with the fast shutter speed. You drop it down to like 3, 4, 30 seconds, and you're going to get this perfect reflection. And when you see those photographers on Instagram or wherever who have really smooth, perfect lakes with reflections, always long exposures, and usually neutral density filters, which allow you to take long exposure photos during the day. And I actually have a whole video on that if you're curious, and it's called Daytime Long Exposure Photography for Beginners. So anyway, Josh, great name, great life. Thank you for submitting, and let's end this with one more photo. Who do we have? All right. Pick someone random. Alright, we gotta make this real good. Alright. We've got a fellow NYU student. He said this is his first long exposure, which is exciting because I'm obsessed with long exposures. So I'm always stoked to see people experimenting with new stuff. Okay, so a couple things here. First of all, I would be mindful of straightening your photo a bit. So it kind of looks like the photo is tilted just a little bit to your right. And you can tell just by looking at these buildings and the fountain structure. Yeah, I would try and have it be either very, very crooked or perfectly straight. Somewhere in the middle just becomes sort of bothersome. But this is, I think, particularly a pet peeve of mine. Another thing is me knowing the buildings and knowing this location very well. Interesting decision not to include the arch in the background, because you can, if done right, frame up the fountain really nicely in the arch, which is really super cool and just adds another neat compositional element. And I'll say one other thing. When you're shooting at night, a cool way to get some nice, they're called sunbursts, is, let me show you guys what sunbursts are. It's when you shoot with a very high aperture number, and as a result, you get the sun to like kind of flare out. And this doesn't actually just apply to the sun, it applies to any light. So when I see this, I'm like, alright, this light, which is like nicely centered, could have been like a really beautiful like star kind of figure like this. So yeah, the higher your F number, if you have it like an F16 or so or higher, you're going to get that nice flare. So be mindful of that. That's one way to set up a photo pretty easily. But otherwise, you know, congrats on long exposures. You may have just opened up a door to a new level of photography addiction, because that's definitely what happened to me when I experimented with long exposures. And on that note, we've reviewed a ton of photos today. It's been so much more positive than usual, way less hurt feelings than usual. So I'd say overall, successful live stream, hopefully. For those of you who, whether you're watching this live or the next day, leave a comment in the live chat or in the actual comment section letting me know how you thought this went. Any advice on how I can improve, because I do like to read the live chats after I go, because people tend to stick around and talk for a little while, and sometimes it gets kind of weird and interesting. Regardless, great stuff, guys. Thank you so much for submitting. It's been a real pleasure, and everyone who made super chat donations, I'm so flattered that you'd want to hear me talk about your work. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and streaming. Go eat a delicious dinner. I sure am. I will see you guys eventually.